Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs, powered by Chris Gates Fitness. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
No complaints. I'm doing very well as well.
There we go. It's a good weekend.
It was. I did some things with the wife. We went to, obviously you all know I live in Jacksonville. We went to Amelia Island. It's really not that far away from us. It's like a 20-minute drive. Something a lot of people do. This is like our first time going.
Amelia Island? Is this a real island?
I mean, it's
like a pretend island.
It's a pretend island.
Okay.
It's very much pretend. But if you heard of like Fernandina Beach, Amelia Island, it's very similar. It's boring as hell. That's why it's the first time we've been there, and that'll be the last time we're there.
So why do people go there then?
I don't know. It's very old. A lot of old people are there. I've noticed, which I jokingly said. Like my mom's been all about, you guys should go there. It'll be so much fun. Ooh. We finally go, and we couldn't wait to leave. So that's what I did on Saturday. We finally went to Amelia Island, and now I can say I've been there, and I will never go back. Okay. Maybe in like 35 years.
Got it. I just watched football all weekend. Football all weekend. It was great.
Football is back though.
Yeah. It was in Saturday night. Saturday during the day I was at the Louisville football game, but came back at night. Had my multi-screen setup, so I had Pirates game going. Had some college football on yesterday. Had Pirates game. Had the Steelers going. Yeah, it was a good. Steelers won yesterday. Pirates won yesterday. Yesterday was a good day.
It was a good day.
Yep. Not for my my sports betting though.
No, sorry, Jim.
Yesterday wasn't great. Saturday was better.
Yeah. Well, Jim, if you really want to get on the sports betting, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 Make It contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. So yeah, there you go, Jim. So not a good day on the professional football side, but on the amateur, less professional, sometimes more paid. You did pretty well.
Yeah, did very well. So
that's good to hear.
I did better on Saturday than the Pirates did. They got swept in a doubleheader. That shouldn't have even happened. We never even talked about this. Friday night. Game was supposed to be Friday night at 6:40.
Mm-hmm.
They cancel the game at like 6:10, about like 30 minutes before first pitch. Cancel the game. So they make everybody head down to the ballpark. So many people were on Twitter were mad. They paid to park. They went downtown. And then as they're like walking into the stadium, the Pirates cancel the game. Well, guess what? They said it was due to rain. The sun was shining, like barely a cloud in the sky at this point. They cancel it due to rain in the forecast. It didn't rain at PNC Park until 9:45 on Friday night. 3 hours after first pitch is when they've got their first raindrop.
So dumb.
So dumb. It was a Friday night crowd. They just basically said, "Yeah, you know what? We don't need you. Come tomorrow for a double header." Or still no one showed up because it wasn't exactly a huge attraction. And that's another thing too that I don't understand is like these day-night doubleheaders. Why do you have? I understand the day-night doubleheaders if like you sell a lot of tickets, but there's no point in doing a day-night doubleheader for a September Pirates Nationals game where 15,000 people come. Yeah, like what's the point? So
Yeah.
that was a little messed up this weekend. I think the Pirates screwed up there. A lot of people were saying, like, remember how they've had all those drainage issues in the outfield? I think they were just scared again that it would rain at some point and it would mess up the outfield again. And
Well,
so
they're living in their fears.
that's what it was.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I heard that too. Well, I guess we heard it together. And I guess I like that's a reason. I understand that could be a reason, but you have to play it out. Like you said, it didn't even rain. It wasn't raining then. You were fearful that it's probably going to rain. And if it probably rains, there may be an issue with this storm drainage again. Just play it out. If it is, then you deal with it at that point in time. You made everyone else deal with it as they showed up to PNC Park. You at least give the opportunity to see if you can make it a game, and they would have. They would have finished it out. And you know what, Jim? Maybe they would not have been no hit through 6 if they played Friday night.
Yeah. You never know. But yeah, that was there. That's my rain postponement.
There you go.
Speech for the day, I guess.
That was good. We needed that. But no, it didn't make sense to me. And I had the post game on Friday night.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense at the time either. Like, you looked at the radar and everything was going to stay north of the city at that point.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So like I said, I had a post game, so I had nothing to do that night. And then I didn't even get to see the game because I was at Amelia Island with all the other 83-year-olds.
There you go.
See, Pittsburgh, I could have watched the game if you played on Friday night. Oh, well. We do have some things to talk about, though. Ben Cherington spoke Sunday. Usually that generates some things to talk about. I'll say this, and you know what? We'll kind of paraphrase a little bit here, but one thing that he did say, I think we're improving. Also, we're not improving by enough yet and not fast enough. I think all of that is true. We're getting better. We see that in how players are coming on the major league team and how that sets us up. But at some point, at the same time, I believe it was Bill Parcells who said, "You are who you are, who you are." You've got to be honest about that. What it's telling us is we need to improve more. We need to make more of that improvement. We need to make that improvement faster all the time. So, and again, I say we paraphrase, that was a quote, but he kind of goes off and says about they have talent. They've graduated a lot of talent. They have talent now in the minor leagues, which is like the most they've had this close and blah, 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 blah. I'll say this. I want to open it and say, I'm glad there's some self-awareness there. He says that it's not fast enough. And, he's admitting that this is a little bit disappointing. Things need to change. Things need to get better. But, it was kind of just a nothing quote as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was him trying to basically say, we're better than we've been, but we need to be better. That was essentially the gist of that entire paragraph. He said the word improve or some form of it 5 times throughout that quote. So I think we're just dealing with another classic Ben Cherington word salad here, where he tries to basically say one thing, but it takes him 5 minutes to get it out of his mouth. He also goes on to say it's almost like he's defending how you've seen these minor league rankings come out lately, and you're seeing organizational talent rankings, and he sort of backpedals and he makes another excuse for himself by saying, well, we've graduated a lot of players, so that's why you're not seeing a ton of prospects and stuff at the upper levels, but we're probably up more than we've had since I've been here. And it's like, I get you've graduated a lot of people recently, but they've all sucked, Ben.
Right.
It's not good whenever and I'm talking about the hitters, right? Like the pitchers have performed. But as far as the hitting talent goes, anyone that you've graduated over the last few years, they haven't been good. But yeah, he acknowledges the mistake, but at the same time, he's
excuses it,
making excuses for himself. Yeah. Because he even goes on to say, in terms of overall depth of position player talent, He thinks it's the deepest it's been since he's been with the Pirates. And I don't know if I believe that.
Oh, here's the thing. If you want to believe it, and if that's what you're saying, if you believe that, then that's a problem because this depth is terrible and you created it. I mean, granted, like you're saying, like it's the deepest it's been my 5 years here. Well, you tore everything apart. Like it's not hard to make it deeper when you've literally created zero depth anywhere. And this isn't to fault him in saying that, but like that's what a rebuild is, right? Each year that passes probably should be deeper than the year before. But like if you're here like, hey guys, we're so deep right now. Look at us in year 5. Look how deep we are. This is good. We're really deep. You're really not. So like I'm not gonna pride myself in how deep this team is after 5 years. And look, this is the deepest we've ever been. Look, guys, this is the deep. Look, guys, we have Alika Williams and Jared Triolo. Look how deep we are. Look, Billy McKinney's been up here now for a month. Look how deep we are. Okay, but you're not good.
So, like Baseball America did their rankings, right? And I think they put the Pirate system at 27th.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN last week did an article with basically saying like who has the most core talent in baseball, and it goes from majors to minors, like really like who has the most talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And last year they did this list and the Pirates ranked 17th. This year they're 21st. So last year they were 17th in terms of overall talent. This year they're 21st. That's not getting better.
Can I phrase this even better?
Yeah.
Last year they were 17th. They drafted Paul Skeens and they became what?
21st. Now last year Skeens would have still been part of that ranking. But yeah,
okay.
like they go through here and they say, there's really, they kind of go through tiers. Like there's an elite tier, a plus tier, and then like a solid tier. They've got one player in their elite tier, which is Paul Skeens. They've got one player in their plus tier, which is O'Neal Cruz. And then they've got they've got a good amount of people in their solid tier, led by Brian Reynolds, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, right? Bubba Chandler's in there too. But yeah, that's the ranking there. So again, you could say, oh, well, maybe Brian Reynolds should be in the plus tier, not the solid tier, but that's not the argument here. Like you're being compared against the other 30 teams and you're not good enough. You're 21st. You were 17th last year. This is the 5th year of your rebuild. You've got to be higher than that. Like you've got to stockpile. Like, what was the point of losing all those games for all those years if you're not stockpiling talent and developing it? They're just not. The only person on this list that is a product of this rebuild, Skeens, Chandler, Harrington, Termar, but like those are all guys that you could have gotten without tanking. Like you didn't have to tank to get Thomas Harrington. You didn't have to tank to get Bubba Chandler. Now you had to tank to get Skeens. You had to tank to get Davis. But the other guys you could have just gotten at some point, no matter where you were picking. So it's just upsetting to see there were 3 years of really, really, really bad baseball. Yeah, 3 years. 1 year of bad baseball. And then this year, back to bad baseball again. I mean, they're 9 games under 500. This is not a good baseball team. And yeah, like you could say, oh well, I like Bubba Chandler. This pitching staff looks good. It's gonna be good going forward. But every other team in Major League Baseball also has prospects. They also have young players. Like this isn't just a synopsis on the Pirates. This is you got to you're competing against 29 other teams, and they're just not stacking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like, do you think that's harsh on them? That can be fair? Can they turn this around? Like, it can, but this hasn't been going well. It just simply hasn't been going well. And each year, we kind of point it out, and each year it just kind of shows, and here we are right now, you know? And like you're talking about, you look at all those players, a lot of them are holdovers. Paul Skeens is a slam dunk. Like, it's, whether you picked him or Cruz, they were going to be, and you saw Dylan Cruz firsthand, really good player. They chose the right one in Paul Skeens, I believe, right? I think that's fair to say. Generational player. But like that falls in your lap. And it's not, I mean, this isn't like to totally dismiss. I mean, you still had to draft them. You still had to do it. They did. You still had to develop them, make the right plan. We've said, day one as well, like the plan for Paul Skeens this year, we thought was smart and correct. It's hard to really fault them for that. Like, there's a lot. It's not like everything they do is doom and gloom, but every draft, I mean, Nick Gonzalez, he's at the major league level. He's performing recently now, but like overall, you're not really sure on him yet. You're sure as hell aren't sure on Henry Davis. We're not sure on Tamar Johnson as a prospect still, who got promoted, rightfully so, still pretty young, but he's struggling as hell in Double-A at this point in time too. He struggled a lot, in like his prospect career. And when I say struggle, to what you expected, what you wanted to see from him, kind of like Nick Gonzalez when he came over, right? When Nick Gonzalez was drafted, it's like, this isn't like what we were kind of expecting. It's doable. We'll see, but
yeah,
especially hitting side like you're talking about. It's just like, what's there? And all these guys have graduated to come up and they just completely struggle. So like, we're not sure if these guys are going to be anything. So it's like all you have is the leftovers and O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds and the re-signing of Andrew McCutchen and you trading and re-getting, Connor Joe, who at this point now looks like we're not even sure what he is in the future. But yeah, like Joey Bart being gifted to you because he was DFA'd and, he was the one out of the 1,000 guys that you threw at the wall to stick at that has stuck. Like, that's it. That's his success story. Joey Bart was DFA'd. That's my success story.
Yeah, they definitely. It looks like Joey Bart's going to be a pretty successful pickup, and that's going to be that's to this date the best player acquisition, non-draft related, that Ben Cherington's made. And yeah, it was just one of those things that just fell in his lap. I guess you could probably put Andrew McCutchen in that same category too. Like Andrew McCutchen, signing him, he's been a productive offensive player his last 2 seasons. But yeah, it's just not enough. It's not enough. We've the tanking, the detriment that we had to go through to get to this point wasn't worth it up to now.
Right.
Wasn't worth it. And you could say, well, if they hadn't tanked, they wouldn't have gotten Skeens. The other 29 teams in baseball don't have Paul Skeens. The 20 teams ranked ahead of the Pirates in overall talent don't have Paul Skeens. You know what? The 4 teams ahead of the standings in the NL Central don't have Paul Skeens. I love Paul Skeens, but like, put together a good baseball team. Not just one really good pitcher, which is what they've basically done.
My stance on this. I don't fault him for rebuilding. It's just I'm not going to. I know we can kind of differ. I don't fault him for doing it. He could not have. I understand that, but he's the new GM. He chose that path. I understand it. But I guess what you're alluding to here is like, we wouldn't have Paul Skeens. That's fair. But you know what? There could have been winning seasons that you haven't had either. Would you rather have a Paul Skeens and have 67 wins right now, or not have been able to draft the Paul Skeens because you were seeing playoffs? That's what you're alluding to. I would rather have the playoffs. I love Paul Skeens. I'm glad he's a Pittsburgh Pirate at this point in time. But the reason I'm glad he's a Pittsburgh Pirate at this time is because his team has been starving for any type of talent, any type of success. What if they just had a success? I'd rather have success than Paul Skeens. That's my trade-off. So you're right. That's what you're alluding to here. I'm not so sure if, all that would have been accomplished, but I do think at this point in time, they would have been better just keeping what they had, ride it out, and then go through this rebuild again, because at least there would have been some type of, like, you had talented players. If you just made some moves, added on to it, you could definitely find success, especially in 2020, 2021. And if you found at that point in time, hey, we tried, let's rebuild. You could. It's not like you sold off Starling Marte to get some amazing return that you're seeing right now. It's not as if you traded Joe Musgrove to get some amazing return as you see right now. Like, all those pieces that you traded off, it's not like you traded them at the highest peak to get this return. So you're seeing the fruit of them in 5 years from now. You could have traded them off of the lowest and tried for 2 years, because, again, you didn't get much for them. And if you're saying, hey, guys, you're being unfair, they got David Bednar, they got Endy Rodriguez. Well, Endy Rodriguez is still a prospect, hasn't shown anything. And you know what? David Bednar, when the time has come to compete, he's part of the problem now. So
that's like you criticism.
You got something in return, but when it was time to use it, when it's time that you needed the value wasn't there anymore. So again, here we are.
5th year under Ben Cherington.
That's a sad picture. Oh my God.
Right? Here we go. Like, these are the top 5 players on this team, according to WAR. Cherington acquired Paul Skeens. The rest of these guys were already here. All, like, 4 out of the 5 best players on this team were acquired by Neil Huntington, and they were here on this team in the organization when Ben Cherington took over. 5 years, and he's been able to find one player, 1 out of the top 5 players on this team he got.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my argument right there. Like,
right.
You could have just not sucked and just added more good players, 5 years ago, and you'd be in a better spot. So I just wanted to share that visual effect there. But for those listening who aren't watching, top 5 players on this team: Paul Skeens, Brian Reynolds, Luis Ortiz, Mitch Keller, O'Neal Cruz. 4 of those names were already here.
Yeah. You know what? Let me make the argument for you as well. You could have had Paul Skeens. And you know why you could have had Paul Skeens? Because you tried for 2 or 3 years, and then you decided to rebuild the year before last.
They could have done that.
Paul Skeens was your first. Paul Skeens was the Nick Gonzalez of this rebuild. It was the first one. But at least you tried, and maybe you made some playoffs. Maybe you did something. And now you traded Brian Reynolds, and you got a really good prospect package. Now you have Paul Skeens, and now you're starting this rebuild looking pretty good. It's like, you know what? Hey, you know what? I came in, and Ben Cherington did you guys a favor. I finished what Neil Huntington couldn't do, and I got us into the playoffs, and who knows what happens from then. But you know what? I took the rest of that core, did what I needed with it. Now we're starting to rebuild. Traded Brian Reynolds, got this amazing prospect package. We got Paul Skeens. Now we're cooking. But nope, we're at where we started.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Speaking of cooking.
Yeah.
Billy Cook called up on Sunday.
Yes.
We've been talking about him for a while now.
July 30th.
it's been many weeks. We've essentially said we're not playing for anything anymore. Let's see these guys who we need to figure out if they can contribute anything in 2025. So they finally called up Billy Cook. Henry Davis was placed on the 10-day IL. Some other stuff over the weekend. Billy McKinney cleared waivers. Domingo Herman cleared waivers. They were both DFA'd earlier in the week.
Shocking.
So they were both outrighted to AAA. But yeah, Billy Cook called up, was having just a really good, solid season in AAA, even in Baltimore's AAA. When he was traded, I said they acquired him. They traded a real prospect for him, and Patrick Riley sent him to Nashville for a month. Send him to Indianapolis. My God, we haven't had Nashville as our AAA affiliate in like 15 years. What am I saying? Send him to Indy.
Yeah.
Send him to Indy for a month. And he basically did the exact same thing in Indy that he was doing in Baltimore's system. So 129 weighted runs created plus with Indianapolis. They finally call him up in a really nice debut for him. 2 for 4 yesterday. RB at 2-run double in the first inning that kind of broke the game open a little bit. So it was nice to see. He made a really, really nice defensive play in the first inning too. Played first base. He can play all around the diamond. He can play first. He can play second. He can play third. He can play left. He can play center. He can play right. Let's see this kid as much as possible. And he's not even that much of a kid anymore. He's 25. So let's see him as much as possible until the end of the year. And while we're at it, Nick York should be right behind him.
Yeah. I don't think we need to go too in depth about all of that because we've been saying this, like you said, for weeks. So everyone knows our stance. Everyone knows why we think he should be here. So now that Billy Cook was here, like what a debut. First hit, got that double, 2 runs. What a nice call up. And again, like he's 25 years old. He's been in the minors for how long? Now he finally gets the majors. I didn't get to hear the interview, but seemed like Hannah was talking to the parents and they were very elated. This is very good stuff for them. Yeah, I mean, again, he's 25 years old. He's finally making majors. But again, he's 25 years old. He should be in the majors. Like he has nothing left to prove in the minors, and that's what we're talking about. I'm not here saying that Billy Cook is going to be this great prospect. He's going to be this great player. He's not the savior for the 2025 teams offensively. But again, he has nothing to prove. You're not getting anywhere by playing Connor, Joe, Rowdy, Tellez. Just go down the list. You'll get somewhere by playing Cook. Get him some experience. See what he has. You're not going to learn too much in just a month's time. You're not going to say, okay, it's been a month. We know what he is. Because again, there's a lot of prospects you don't know who they are, and they have 300, 400, 500 plate appearances. That's why the Pirates are ranked 21st because they are bad. So like you're not going to gain a whole lot there, but at least again, get him that head start. Let him start seeing from major league pitching. You can start evaluating him. But the fact that he can play almost everywhere helps out too, because you're not going to have these issues trying to find places in the lineup for people. Slime in first today, slime in right tomorrow. Put him in center when Cruz has a day off. Put him at second. He can play all over the place, which is really, really good. And why you want to see him up here as well, because being that utility guy, you know what? He's kind of making Connor Joe fight for a job next year potentially. And I think you talked about this on the post game yesterday. Like competition sparks things. Get him up here. Get the good players up here. Make them have to compete. Put Jared Trillo on blast a little bit. Alika Williams, like, hey, you know what? Maybe I got to play now because Billy Cook's here. Maybe Nick York's coming. Is my days numbered? Is my job going to be eliminated here? But it seems like this isn't a very competitive organization, and that's been my problem for a while.
Yeah. So we'll see if they're done calling people up. I mean, the only other person that I care to see down there is York. I wouldn't even mind maybe seeing Peguero a little bit. I think we kind of know a lot more about Peguero than we do these other two guys. But Peguero's he's still young. There's still something there. Like it's not you don't have to write him off just yet. But it was definitely a rough season overall for Peguero. But yeah, they finally called him up, which is good. That's just what I've been calling. What we've been calling for is like, let's give us something to watch this last month. Give us something to watch. Like that's what September is for. There you go. Burrows for the bullpen.
Give us something to talk about.
I'd be for this too. That I wouldn't mind seeing
love.
I wouldn't mind seeing Mike Burrows a little bit too this month.
Yeah, that's one. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to bring on the guy to talk about the AAA team?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Before we do, while we're bringing him on, since you listen to Starbucs every Monday, I know you love sports, but if you have health and fitness goals too, listen up. Chris Gates Fitness, who sponsors Starbucks every week, launched an online fitness membership last month called Training Camp. Training Camp is a monthly fitness program designed specifically for sports fans, and it's honestly nothing like we've ever seen before. It's been about 2 months with the program so far. A lot of fun, like a lot of interaction in the group that you get. A lot of one-on-one dedicated time with Chris. He gives you some pointers here and there. Since the start of the program, I'm down 9 pounds, DiNardo. So training camp's working for me. Chris been coaching people for years. He's a massive Pitt football fan and has created a community and training camp that blends fitness and sports together to help you achieve your goals while connecting with a community of sports fans doing the same thing. So whether you've struggled to stay consistent in the past, felt confused about what exercises to do, or needed more accountability, Training Camp is here to help. When you join Training Camp, you'll get top-notch coaching from Chris. He'll deliver monthly workout plans to help remove all the guesswork with exercising so you can just show up, put in the work, and have confidence that what you're doing is working. The workout plans are customizable and designed to fit your busy lifestyle so you can stay consistent and see progress. You'll also join the private online Training Camp community where members gather for support, participate in challenges, win prizes, and more. Training Camp is centered around sustainable results. So no crash diets or extreme routines. You can drink beer, you can tailgate, and make progress all at the same time. So Training Camp will teach you how, and you get all this for less than your weekly coffee run. So in fact, Chris is running an offer, is offering a massive discount. If you sign up this week, you can get your first month 50% off the monthly price. So head over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp or hit the link in the description to sign up. Use code Starbucks to get that discount.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, you know what that means at this point in time. We're going to bring on Anthony Murphy from Bucs On Deck. What's up, Anthony?
What's going on, guys?
Same old.
Yeah. How are we doing?
Yeah.
So Murphy, you were in Greensboro all week on location.
Yep. It's a whole week of watching baseball. It's pretty cool.
There we go. Was it a good week for the Hoppers?
They lost the first game and then they won the next 5. So.
Oh, look how that works, Jim. You go to baseball games and they win.
Yeah, I went to Bradenton. Nice. When I went to Bradenton earlier this year, the Marauders swept. So like minor league teams are like 11-1 this year while I'm in town, I guess. So it's pretty good.
You're just gonna have to make more rounds. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
You need to team up with Sax Boy, tour the Pirates. Give us hope.
That's what. Just do the same thing, but for the minor league affiliates. All right, so we're kind of winding down here on a lot of the seasons. I think there's just one more week left for some of these guys, maybe 2. Before
Bradenton's done.
Bradenton's done. Okay.
Well, Greensboro would be done if they. Well, the playoffs start this week for Greensboro. So
okay.
Regular season.
So complex done. Bradenton done. Greensboro playoffs.
1 week.
Altoona I think has.
This is the last week for Altoona.
Okay. And then Indy has a few more weeks left. So
yeah.
All right. Well, talk to us about this past week, last week for the lower levels there. Pitching. Let's talk about pitching.
Pitching.
Let's highlight a couple pitchers.
It was a really good week for pitching in Greensboro. Both sides. There's a lot of really good pitching. I think one game was 1-0, and there's like 6 hits total between both teams. It's just a really good pitching matchups. 2 pitchers on Greensboro took no hitters into the 6th inning. So
were they playing Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they could have been. Michael Kennedy took a no hitter into the 6th inning. Struck out 10, which was a career high. 17 whiffs. It just mixes pitches really, really well. He walked 2 guys in the 1st inning and then then a base runner didn't get on base until the 6th inning when he gave up the hit and then he got pulled from the game. So struggled a little bit and then just went on a complete tear after that. And what is it? He's only given up 1 earned run in like 10 2/3 with 15 strikeouts and 2 starts in high A so far. And he's still doing it at 19. So super impressive.
Yeah, he's been really good down the stretch. Like even his last month in Bradenton was outstanding. The 10 strikeouts, I think that's a career high, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you love to see them get bumped up a level like that and then pitch just as well, if not better. And it's a small sample. It was 2 games, right? So like that'll be his season. But yeah, really good season for Michael Kennedy, which is great because we saw like a taste of him last year in Bradenton after having a pretty successful complex league. But the thing that sticks out to me the most this year with Kennedy is like last year, the just the control was an issue. He was walking people. And he seemed to have pretty much eliminated that problem this year.
Yeah, he said when I talked to him down in Bradenton, he said that was the biggest thing he wanted to work on this year is to like up the consistency of his outings, because he said he'll be pitching really, like when he was in the complex, he'd be pitching really good, and then he'd hit an inning and there'd be like 2, 3, 4 walks or something like that in the inning, and it kind of blow up his entire day and stuff like that. So his goal for the year was just be more consistent and be more efficient, and like you said, he had one of the lowest walk rates in the entire system right now. So
yeah, good stuff. Who else pitchers?
Carlson Reed took a no-hitter into the 7th inning this time around, and
we've been talking about him a lot lately.
Yeah. Had a chance to talk to him while I was down there, and just really good season overall, especially college reliever his last year, to make this kind of transition into the rotation, and then just to do as well as he has. It's just, it shows what the Pirates are, maybe like the one thing that they're doing well right now. So this I think at this point, like, Reed's probably your biggest success story in the system. From maybe like maybe the guy who, like, he had talent, but like there's a lot of control issues. I think
probably put Riley in that same boat too. Honestly, I feel like those two were very similar.
Yeah.
Like
and
college,
maybe got a little more recognizable because he went to Vanderbilt, and he has the upper 90s fastball, and that kind of stands out a little bit more. But Reed's working on like the little things and all that stuff. Like he mentioned, like like his fastball was like, he brought up like it was a little bit more of like a dead zone fastball for him. So the Pirates kind of had it split in 2 for him, like where now he's throwing like a 4-seam and a sinker. And he says he felt like that's helped a lot with the hitters. And the big thing for him down the stretch is just controlling the fastball. He's been able to throw it in the strike zone more, letting it play. And I was like, he didn't walk anyone. Hit that this start where I was in person. Hasn't walked much at all recently. And him and Bubba Chandler like going back and forth right now for like the system lead in strikeouts.
Yeah, he's had this amazing run, like being called up to Greensboro, 6 starts. Like the sample size isn't huge, but 31 innings pitched. My guy has a .64 whip. And those 31 innings, he's allowed 11 hits.
Yeah.
Just absurd. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. And to just expand on that, his last 8 starts. So he's made 6 in Greensboro, but if you take his last 2 starts in Bradenton too, 3 earned runs in his last 8 starts that he's given up. It's just been outstanding. Another thing too, and I'm not entirely sure how Fangraphs comes up with these rankings, but like they do a power ranking, right? Like they have their prospect ranks, but then they also do a power ranking. Carlson Reed has the 3rd highest power ranking of any prospect in the Pirates system, behind Nick York and Bubba Chandler. So I'm assuming power ranking is really just like how good are you playing right now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Carlson Reed, they have him ranked 67th in minor league baseball power ranking. So yeah, he's had a had a hell of a year. So,
Yeah,
like
and
you said,
I mean,
4th round pick last year.
it's like when you sit back and think about it too, that's not too like crazy because like the slider's like really good, the changeups are really good. The big thing that you're kind of waiting on is to see how like the fastball would play, and they kind of solved that by having him throw the 2 different fastballs now to kind of change like eye levels and stuff like that, and now he's throwing both of them for strikes, and so like now like he has 4 pitches now that he can throw for strikes and that are like pretty good. So
he's given up 3 hits in his last 3 starts. No, 2 hits. He's given up 2 hits in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, the start before the one I was at, he threw 6 no-hit innings, but still gave up an earned run.
Yeah.
And this time it was only 1 hit, which was a home run. So
just really good stuff from him. So
yeah. And it kind of tie in like when we opened the show again, it was very negative about like development and whatnot. But like again, when it comes to the pitching, like think back to a year ago, we're talking about like the drafts. Like it felt kind of uninspired. Also, like a lot of college arms. They're just like kind of maybe just kind of build their bullpen. And like locals kind of come out with that. These diamond in the rough stats. Like maybe there's more of this than just like this maybe bullpen arm. But yeah, like what Carlson is doing has been pretty damn ridiculous.
Yeah. If you can hit, like obviously, like they knew what they were getting in Paul Skeens last year, so they felt like they can, swing for the fence on a couple of these guys afterwards because they knew they were already going to get great value out of the draft regardless, just from taking Skeens. So if you can take these guys that like, okay, well they have a lot of control issues, but if we can just bring it down a little bit, then we're cooking with something here. And then like even when you think of it that way, they were able to flip another guy from that draft for Billy Cook now. Now all of a sudden a draft that kind of felt looking really well. And was it, I think Nolan and I talked about this on our last podcast. Like there's a very good argument to make that you probably just start Carlson Reed at AA next year. Like I think you kind of feel like you've already seen enough from him here. Like he'll get at least one more start probably in the playoffs, and 2 if they make the next round. So like, what else do you really need to see from him here?
It's obviously not a challenge for him.
No,
it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
So
whatever Greensboro's doing down there pitching wise, it's working well because I mean they got all sorts of guys too down there that are.
Yeah,
that's not easy park.
It's encouraging, and I'll be the first one to say, like, I was outside Skeens last year's draft just seemed very mundane. Like it was like, why are we taking all these college relievers? Like we're taking just college reliever after college reliever, and these guys are turning into dudes. So yeah, it's good stuff there. Hopefully we kind of just keep seeing these guys progress as they go through the system. Like I said, they've obviously figured something out. They've identified what they look for in pitchers, and they've been able to, especially in those lower levels, they've been able to figure out, and it's trickling up through the system that they got pitching. They got pitching.
Yeah.
Let's switch sides to the what they don't have, which is hitting. Let's talk about some guys who had some good weeks, though.
Well, talk about one guy. The season's over down in Bradenton. So Esmeralda Valdez is your Florida State League home run champion. After he hit 3 home runs last week, six hits total. He actually walked more than he struck out, which is a big thing for him. He's just 20 years old, and he was the only qualified hitter in the Florida State League with an OPS over 800.
Oh wow!
Which was over 100 points higher than league average. What the league average OPS is. He was 4th in RBIs, 2nd in slugging, 5th in walks, 6th in strikeouts, but like so. Good season overall for him. Good way to wrap things up.
Yeah, he had a really good year. And when you're talking about people who I mean, first baseman for the most part, can play some corner outfield too. But I think his future is probably first base, if I had to guess.
Maybe DH.
Something, yeah, maybe even DH. But if you're gonna do that, you've got to hit. Like that's what you got to do. Strikeouts still probably higher than what you want to see, but when he connects, ball goes far.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And he was the guy that we talked about before. What is it? Fangraphs had him on that list as like guys that could be like top 100 things or like based off of what, like scouts and like feedback from scouts and execs and stuff like that. He was a name that popped up as a potential top 100 guy.
Yeah,
22 home runs at 20 years old in the Florida State League will get you a lot of attention. There's I think two guys. Yeah, two guys with 20 home runs, and I don't even know if the guy who was ahead of him going into the week was even at that level anymore, because he just has been at like 20 for like the last week and a half. So the guy behind him might not even be in single A still, or he might be hurt or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, I guess I mean, you look at this, and so he's got 22 home runs. Ariel Almonte for the Reds, he's the guy with 20. But Valdez only 358 at bats, 435. Like Valdez has less plate appearances, about 70 of them less than Almonte. Still beat him in homers. And Almonte's I've at least heard of him. I know who he is. I mean, you're looking at this list. There's not a ton of interesting names on there. A lot of Bradenton Marauders. So I wonder how much of that has to do with. The park. Like, is Lecom just a friendly park, or like? I mean, I'm looking at this list, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Marauders in the top 17 in home runs in the Florida State League.
I think you have a lot of guys on the Marauders too that are gonna swing like all or nothing thing too, because probably if you shift over to strikeouts there, you'll probably see those same names there at the top. So, because I imagine like Polanco is probably one of them.
You do,
and I think Polanco struck out more than Valdez.
Yeah, so Valdez led the league in homers, but also 9th in the league in strikeout rate.
Yeah.
So you want to get that down. But yeah, I mean, the power is obviously very, very encouraging to see at that age.
Yeah.
All right. So Valdez, Florida State League home run champ. One more hitter who we want to talk about.
When I show up to the games, he has pretty good weeks. But Omar Alfonso had 3 home runs this past week. He has 4 in, I think it was 24 games in high A already. He's walked 16 times in those 24 games too. So like he's played pretty well. He threw out a couple of base runners as well. So like the defense is still showing pretty good. Had a couple pass balls. So like, I mean, obviously you're still working on some stuff with that, but good week.
I'm just now noticing his stolen base numbers.
He's like throwing out over 50% at high A right now.
He's caught 10 of 19.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy for the minor leagues too, because the minor leagues have their people
run crazy. People run crazy in the lower levels. If you have any somewhat of speed in the lower levels, you're just going to have success. So for him to be able to control it that way,
that's pretty incredible. Alfonso, another guy who played really well at Bradenton this year, bumped up to Greensboro this last month and a half or so, and just been crushing it. So got another catcher, first baseman too. He plays some first. Yeah.
You get some love on prospect lists too. Like it's an actual player.
Yeah.
He's a top 30 guy.
Yeah, I think they shortchange his power in a lot of those rankings. Like there's more power there. I think the issue comes from like learning how to elevate more, which I mean that's not unheard of with younger guys and stuff like that too. Like the exit velocity numbers were like off the charts in Bradenton. It was just a matter of getting the ball up in the air more, kind of thing. So
We've heard that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, walk rate's good, strikeout rate is still higher than you want to see, but it's not exorbitant. Like you look at Valdez, and it's just it's a lot higher than you want to see. But yeah, really nice year from Omar Alfonso. Just catching. You can never have too many catchers. We've seen that this year. Like they had to call upon Grant Cook at one point. Like teams use 4 to 5 catchers every year, like no matter what. So the more catchers you got, the better.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Before we let you go, anything you want to tease from your Greensboro trip that's coming out on the site or on the podcast tomorrow?
I had a chance to talk to Carlson Reed, so I'll have some stuff on that. I had a chance to talk to I talked to Omar Alfonso as well, so I have some stuff on that. I talked to your boy Mitch Jeb, so I have some stuff on that.
That I can't wait for.
Yeah, I had an article go up on DK Pittsburgh Sports on Tamar Johnson. Obviously, I missed him there, but I got a chance to talk to the Greensboro manager Blake Butler about him. So you can check that out on DK Pittsburgh Sports.
That's also, by the way, yeah, congratulations on that. I haven't talked to you since you got that as well. So minor league correspondent, basically, is that kind of the title, or what are we titled over there? Contributor, minor league contributor.
Yeah, I do minor league stuff.
I do minor league stuff.
There you go. That should just be your job title.
Yeah,
Anthony Murphy.
Anthony showing up. Anthony Murphy. I do minor league stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. Well, that's it. Thanks for hopping on here this morning. I know it was a busy week for you. You got any more trips before the end of the year?
No, I think at this point now it's just I going through this year. I think the biggest thing is going into next is to plan better. A lot of the stuff was spur of the moment. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this.
We need to get you to Scottsdale this year for Arizona Fall League.
That was discussed while I was down there.
Yeah.
I kind of went a little over budget while I was down there because there's housing issues. When I was down there, the first place had like no AC, so had to go and rent other hotel. So
yeah, that's rough. Which that was news that came out, I think, this last week. But the Scottsdale Scorpions are who the Pirates are going to be. That's going to be their Arizona Fall League affiliate this fall. When do those rosters should come out pretty soon?
Because I think they said the start of the AFL season could be like October 4th.
Yeah.
So we should get word here any little bit now. I guess a lot of it depends too, like how much of effort I put is like who all's going.
Yeah.
Too. So if it's worthwhile kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think there's a good crop of people who I think could go. Some people who maybe like didn't get a full season and all that. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be curious.
I have a couple names jotted down. I think that's something me and Nola are going to talk about either tonight when we record, if we're recording, or next week or something like that. So
yeah, good stuff. All right, Murphy. Well, Bucs On Deck Substack. You can also find him on DK Pittsburgh Sports now. Tuesdays are when his podcasts come out. If you're interested in more about the minor league system, always appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Always. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for waking up early and coming on.
Yeah. After that long week, I joke about it, but like I'm probably heading back to bed.
Go back to bed
after that week. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you, man.
Later.
Bye.
So, this is part of the show where we talk about the preview, the next series coming up. I do want to, before we do that, just say one quick thing. You know what we didn't talk about at all?
What?
Endy's back.
That's true. Endy's back. That is kind of cool.
Yeah. As soon as we got Murphy on, I was like, forgot to talk about this. Like maybe we'll slide in here. There was an opportunity, but that's fine. But yeah, Endy's back. There's another thing that Ben Cherington talked about. We've been teased with Endy will return at end of the year, but it was more tease of like, who's just gonna hit. He'll hit from one side of the plate. I think the biggest news is he's going to play. Now, granted, there's just 1 week left in Altoona, but he'll be in Altoona, and he's going to catch, play first, and DH. So defense is on his plate as well. So very encouraging stuff.
Yeah, it's cool that that he's like I would have assumed at this point like he would just be hitting, really. So the fact that they're going to get him some time at catcher before the end of the year is very encouraging. Yeah, you got to imagine there's one more week left in Altoona's season, and then I'm curious once Altoona's done, do they bump him to Indy to finish off the year? That would be
right.
That would be nice. Who knows? Maybe even he gets activated off the IL. You never know. You never know. We can have some major league Indy this year if things go well.
That would be kind of wild, actually.
Murphy says they say he's going to catch, and it'll be about 3 innings. So,
but the thing is, like that was not even in the cards at one time.
I didn't think we would see him behind the plate at all this year.
Right. So like
I thought there would be a chance at like some DHing, But yeah, the fact that he's going to catch a little bit is super encouraging.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and preview this upcoming series. So the Pirates just finished playing the Nationals, which are right behind them in the standings. And now they play the Marlins. And, this is just a weird, stupid team. And I say that because last week we were previewing the Cubs series for the second time in a row after they got swept. And then they played the Cubs pretty well. And then it's the Nationals, and they didn't play the Nationals very well. So this team is just this weird, like they're not really that good, but they can play good. And of course, it depends on the pitching. And that's the one thing they're gonna have for them this time is Paul Skeens will pitch in this series. They're gonna pitch today, actually. But no Jared. He pitched yesterday. It's the Marlins. They're not that good, but neither is the Pirates offense. What are we taking of this series here, Jim?
Man, I'll say this. The Marlins are they're the team where, let me go back to the beginning of the episode when we talked about like this team's going to be able to pitch. We're talking about the Pirates now. Team's going to be able to pitch. Team's loaded with pitching. The Marlins are like the team where you can never count on like your pitching to stay intact, right? Like you need more than 5, you need more than 6, you need more than 7. Because we talked about the Marlins all off season. Like, hey, Marlins, you've got all this pitching. Why don't you trade some of these guys? Like, let us take Edward Cabrera off your hands. Let's trade some of these pitchers that you have so that we can hit. And here's a series in September where the 54-89 Marlins, this is a terrible baseball team. They're trotting out Valente Belozo,
Have fun with that name, Bucko Mike.
Adam Aller, and Adam Major. Those are the 3 starters that the Marlins are trotting out here this week against the Pirates. And it's just a reminder to we've got pitching talent, but stuff happens to pitchers. Like they don't stay healthy. You need more than 5. You need more than 6. You need more than 7. Otherwise, you end up 54-89 starting Adam Major in September. Yeah. Former Pirate in Aller, by the way. He was a 20th round pick of the Pirates in 2016. So yeah. So this dude just toiled away in the Pirates minor leagues for years and years and years. Yeah, and now he's in the majors after he's 29 years old. But that's just kind of the point here I'm trying to make is
it's wild.
You can never have enough pitching.
Yeah, it's again like it's the Marlins match up so well. They have so much pitching. Let's make a trade. And they didn't trade. Here's the thing too. It's not as if like they did that. Hey, we'll trade away.
They kept everybody.
Right. They didn't make any moves. They didn't trade anybody away, and they can't find the pitching right now. Yeah, like it's just wild. And here's the thing too. So even just since July, they've used 36 pitchers. It's nuts.
You look at their IL. the pitchers they have on their IL. They've got 7 starting pitchers on their IL. Listen to these names: Sandy Alcantara, Braxton Garrett, Jesus Luzardo, Yuri Perez, Ryan Weathers, Sixto Sanchez, Max Meyer.
And most of those are good pitchers. And if they're
All
not,
on the
it's because
IL.
they're young, like
Yeah.
Max Meyer, top draft pick. He's been injured, coming back. Yeah, like it's wild. It's wild what happened to the Marlins. But now the Pirates get the feast on this pitching, maybe. I hate to say this because I remember saying this like a while ago. Like, if there's one team that can cure your offense, and I think the Pirates, laid an egg against that team that we're talking about before. I think, which I think was the Angels. I don't know, but yeah, I don't want to say that line again. But if you were to say that line, this would be a team to say that line against, because the starting pitching is not all that good. Cabrera pitched yesterday, and at this point in time, I think he's like their best starter. He's not even that good, but the bullpen is pretty good. The bullpen's pretty decent for them. They have some interesting names, even after all the trades. I think this isn't to say like the bullpen's like really good, like a problem, but there are some interesting players, in their bullpen. And like as far as offensively, I mean, it's been a challenge. Of course, they traded Jazz, they traded Brian De La Cruz, but they got some interesting guys back, and there's a player that came from Baltimore who's tearing it up for them right now as well, in Norby.
I forgot they got Norby.
Yeah, since he's been called up too, he's been
really well.
tearing it up.
Yeah, he has been playing really well. That would have been a guy I would have liked to have gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 286, 318, 590. He's got 8 homers in his first 27 games in the majors since coming over to Miami. 6 homers in 18 games. So yeah, ever since arriving in Miami, he's been really good.
Which usually isn't the case, but for him it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly though, like offensively, they've had some guys that have been playing pretty decently, but still, like Jake Burger's also really turned it around. He's been playing very, very well. But yeah, again, so like for this team, I don't know, series are dumb at this point in time. But they have,
I mean, it's a team you're significantly better than. Like the Pirates are not a good team, but they are on like if you're listing tiers and you're ranking them and you're putting tiers together, like the Pirates and the Marlins aren't in the same tier. The Marlins are significantly worse. Whereas the Nationals are probably similar talent tier to the Pirates. The Marlins just suck. They're awful. In a lot of facets, like this team is bad. They can't hit. They really can't hit. They've had some guys hit well over the last week or two, but overall, this is a poor hitting team. It's a poor pitching team. The bullpen, like you mentioned, that you think they're good. I don't. I think this bullpen kind of sucks. Like this team is bad. Like it's a bad team. The Pirates are starting Paul Skeens on Monday against Valente Belozo. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Like the Pirates need to win tonight's game. Tomorrow, I don't think they've announced the starter yet. The Pirates, at least, but Fangraphs thinks they're going to start Joey Wentz tomorrow. So there's that. And then Bailey Falter going on Wednesday. So I don't know. I feel like this is a series the Pirates should handle fairly easily. They should win at least 2 out of 3. And honestly, they're as bad as the Pirates are, they're significantly better than the Marlins. Like they should sweep the Marlins. Like this team sucks. This team sucks. They're bad. It's a bad baseball team.
You said the sweep word, Jim. You know what happened last time you said that,
did.
right?
I said this week. Well, last time I said, what if they sweep? This week I'm saying they should sweep. Like the Marlins suck.
Well, I'm making my decision here. The Pirates are taking 1 out of 2. Obviously, the Paul Skeens starts today. Good luck on Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are L's. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
This is why, Anthony Murphy. This is why we need you in Pittsburgh.
No, you know what? You can even clip this. Like the Marlins suck.
The last time too.
Yeah. The Marlins suck. If the Pirates don't win 2 out of 3, they should be embarrassed. Should be embarrassed.
But they don't get embarrassed. Anyway, yeah. So there's the upcoming series. Fun stuff. Baseball's winding down. There's not too many more of these left either. So take that for what it is. Whether it be
about 3
happy,
weeks
sad,
left.
indifferent. Yep. All right. Well, we out of here then.
Well, you didn't say what you said. 1 out of 3.
Now, with my new updated information,
What if you would have gone first? What would you have said?
Just safely 2 out of 3 because the Pirates are going to find a way to lose 1. Now they're losing 2.
Yeah, I think we're sweeping.
I might be down to 0. They might be losing the Paul Skeens start now too. I don't know how. I'm not sure how it's being done today, but they're going to. Pirates get swept.
Paul Skeens might throw a no-hitter against this team.
He might.
I can't see a single player in this lineup who can get a hit off Paul Skeens.
They haven't been playing better offensively recently.
Well, that's because it's not possible for them to be worse. Like Bucs On Deck, Skeens will K 13. He's going to have his best start of the season.
And here's the thing. Yasmani Grandal will be catching because it's Skeens. Grandal's been playing really good too.
Yes.
So 1 out of 3. I'm back on. Yasmani is going to make it a 1-0 game. He's going to win the game. Paul Skeens is striking out 13 in 6 innings.
That's what Bucs On Deck says. 13 strikeouts.
Ryan Bruckey's going to give up a run. Make it 1-0. And Yasmani Grandal is hitting a 2-run bomb to make it 2-1. That's how the Pirates are winning today.
There you go.
All right. We're out now. Do all the good stuff. As always, we appreciate you. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and give us a nice comment. Tell us how well we are doing. And check us out everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Go into our Discord. That's popping. We're also giving away tickets for every home game the rest of the way. And hopefully we'll pick it up next year as well. But there's perks of just being in our Discord. So yeah, do all that good stuff. We'll be back again tonight for the post game to talk about Paul Skeens' 2-1 victory with 13 strikeouts. Jim, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I'm on the post game show tonight too. So I'll either be gloating or I'll be eating crow. One of the two.
Yeah. I can't remember last time I did a Paul Skeens start.
I usually I'm in charge of the schedule. So
yeah.
You know.
The perks of that, huh? We'll see you guys tonight. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucs.